Well, folks, thanks so much for tuning in to the Saturday edition. We're going to give you a quick snapshot at your week ahead and hopefully get you informed, give you some of the insights behind the scenes of what we think are going to emerge in the week ahead so that you can go into whether it's conversational battle or just sharing insights. First of all, really remarkable stuff coming out of the U.S. as people prepare for the congressional debates, not just debates, but the actual midterm elections coming up in November. And as we've been commenting on within the Democrat Party, the strongest force is called the Democrat Socialist Agenda, or the Democrat Socialist of America is the actual name of the group, and they've got their own agenda, but they are a driving force. People have largely been dismissing them, largely saying no, they're not going to go anywhere, but their candidates continue to get elected. So watch for this week because it's just come out that in their internal policy statement, they are proposing that they want to get rid of the presidency, they want to get rid of the Senate, they want to have judges appointed just by a parliamentary body, so it's not even a congressional body. And this is a classic Soviet model of ruling people and taking control of people. And here's the thing that's going to be interesting the week ahead as Democrat leaders, elected leaders, are being interviewed and saying, are you going to dismiss this absolutely crazy proposal by the Democrat Socialists of America, who now appear to be controlling the Democrat Party? What do you think about the policies of their suggestion getting rid of the presidency itself, getting rid of the Senate, and having just one elected body, and that body being the one who will appoint the judges? So an early sign that who we'd call normal Democrats are kind of might be winding up supporting this. AOC, as you know, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, was asked the question directly and she backed away. She did not denounce it. So watch for that story emerging this week. On the as athletics and as sports stories continue to control and guide the agenda, the political agenda. Watch for the stories this week. Caitlin Clark, as we've talked about, who is a stunning athlete and leading the Women's National Basketball Association, the WNBA, continues to set phenomenal records as a player, as the attacks against her by other players. We're talking about the physical attacks increase, and people are not liking to say this, but she's largely being attacked by black players, and people are wondering why this is happening. Is there a larger concern that as if white players don't have the right to be leading the league and to be setting all records? She just set a record uh, in in the game against the Seattle Storm. She got 40 points, 10 assists, 4 steals, and she did it all in 30 minutes because she's still recovering from injuries, back injuries, and also an injury from a direct punch to her throat, which actually can be lethal. And that was in a game against the Phoenix Mercury. Alyssa Thomas doing that. And why I'm saying to watch for this in the week ahead, 11 elected members of Congress have actually written a letter to the head of the WNBA saying, please tell the referees to do something to stop this. Just brutal. So watch that story continue to emerge. And watch on Monday the new leader of the Labour Party in Great Britain, Andy Burnham, is going to be coming out with his first official speech, but he already launched a speech on Friday, and it's really bizarre. But the centrality of his speech was attacking a previous prime minister going way back to the 80s, Margaret Thatcher, of course, known as the Iron Lady, and the woman who brought small c conservative thinking and economics back to the UK and took it from its decades of debt to new levels of prosperity. And he was really coming out swinging, attacking her. So that's signaling that he's going to take the Labour Party even further to the left. So you've got this left lurch continuing in the US, now in the UK, and watch also for the emerging uh, debates and also the primary election. This is in the state of Maine. Remember, we covered this Graham Plattner, who was just shocked everybody by looking like he was going to win the Democrat nomination there in Maine. And finally, after the stories about just on and on and on, women coming forward and all kinds of his previous tweets and videos, he finally got punted. He got dumped. There's 8 candidates now in the race, and the person who appears to be leading is a person by the name of Ashley Webb. This is a biological male. This is a transgendered candidate, and Ashley says, or when asked about what qualifications he or she was bringing to the table, she said, "Well, I've been a songwriter, and I wrote a book once, and I'll always tell the truth." Anyway, that's coming up July 25th. We're going to see of 8 candidates. Keep an eye on that. Will she be the one that gets elected? Watch this week for market jitters and market worries, because Iran is increasing their attacks, actually increasing their attacks. This is going to cause the U.S. to have to ask a question, either back down and look for some kind of neutral way out of that whole situation in Iran, or the U.S. is going to have to up the game and really get serious about taking out uh, more Iranian infrastructure. So watch for that. Another thing to watch for on a Canada-U.S. Situation, you've got the wildfires in Ontario, which are increasing, and the smoke that's going across the border. Uh, you've got now the U.S. Congress has actually made certain filings against Canada and against Ontario, saying stop the smoke. I don't know how you're going to do that. And President Trump jumping in, suggesting he is going to hit Canada with tariffs because of forest fires. Remember also, now keep an eye on this, we talked about more and more investigations showing that not all, but a significant number of forest fires that start, not just in Canada and the US, are started by arsonists. So watch for that story. A bit of a sideline story, but one that's picking up interest internationally. You probably heard in the very, very tragic event just last week of Jay and Deb McDonald, a couple in their 70s, and they were killed on a lake in northern Saskatchewan, McTavish Lake, both being killed. Apparently, it's a bear attack. RCMP were involved for a while to see if there was criminal activity. It wasn't, but it's very rare to see 2 people killed by a bear. So watch. And that story's going around the world because Canadian bears, of course, are famously known. We'll see where that goes. Another Canadian that's making headlines in the U.S. Watch for this coming up. William Shatner. Yes, that's James Kirk from Star Wars days. And he has announced, he's 95 years old, announced that he and his band, he's got a heavy metal band, 95 years old. That's right, you heard it. They're going to be performing at an upcoming 3-day music festival in Chicago. And people may forget, he actually put out his first album at the height of Star Wars fame way back in 1968. It was called Transformed. It largely got mocked and ridiculed, but he's sticking with it, and he's announced his heavy metal band is going to be there. And on this posting, he says, "Hope to see you there." And he said, "I hope I'm there too." So going where no man has gone before. Let's watch and see if he makes it to the festival. The Alberta budget, people might be saying in the U.S., what's this to do with the Alberta budget? Why should we be watching that coming up? It appears that that budget, which was tabled back in February, and it was a deficit budget, and the Premier getting some criticism for that because of the price of oil and gas being above what the predicted price was in February. It looks like Alberta budget is going to be headed for a surplus. So that's just adding to the positive economic news coming out of Alberta and showing an economic shift again, really from all across Canada to Alberta. The last time, one of the last times a budget like this was posted with a surplus, it just happened to be, and I'm not taking the credit, but I was the Minister of Finance at the time in Alberta in 1999, and we posted a budget which was eliminating the net debt, first budget to do that in many years. And I look at the fact that back then, when I was Minister of Finance, we predicted that budget on oil, West Texas Intermediate, being $13.50. and this budget now was predicated at $60.50. So the times they are changing. Watch for the in the European Central Bank, and the president of the central bank, Christine Lagarde, is saying she's going to be making some comments this week about where they're going to be pegging the interest rate. So that's a lot like the Federal Reserve, or it's a lot like the Bank of Canada comes out to say our interest rate's going to go up and down, and that's going to be whether to worry about inflation or not. That'll affect your cost of living. That'll affect your cost of your mortgage and your bank payments. So watch. And it's not just the European Central Bank, but Japan, Singapore, South Korea, Australia, all coming out this week talking about what they think is going to be happening with the interest rate. Pope Leo continues to make headlines from his visit to the island of Lampedusa, keeping in mind that's where he made his first visit in 2013. And interesting thing to note here, that particular island, it is an Italian island, but it's off the coast, and it's actually closer to northern Africa than to many of the cities in Italy, and it's the landing place for many of the illegal immigrant flow that comes out of Africa, especially northern Africa. He uses that as kind of a staging ground to make his statements that really are contrary to what a lot of countries are having as immigration policy. He's suggesting immigration should be much more wide open, that you shouldn't maybe have the type of immigration protections that you have. So watch for that debate continue to emerge from his visit there. And out of Nigeria, church leaders are saying that this week upcoming, they're going to be coming out with stronger statements, because as Nigeria has a strong Christian component, we see more and more attacks on churches, more Christians being killed by members of militant Islamic communities in Nigeria. So watch for announcements there coming out of Nigeria, and also keep an eye on why mainstream media continues to play down attacks and killings of Christians, burning of entire villages and churches. So good. These are the things to look for in the week ahead. Gives you some things to pray about too. Have a great weekend, folks. Thanks for tuning in.